Hello class, welcome to Human Resource Management. My name is Dr. Polonius Kembu, and today we are going to look at performance appraisal. And performance appraisal, maybe just to remind you, last time we were doing performance management. And under performance management, performance appraisal is one of the elements of performance management. So our lesson objectives today, we are going to look at our lesson objectives is to define and give the importance of reviewing performance, explain the objectives of performance appraisal, describe the appraisal process, and lastly, identify various performance appraisal tools and techniques. So let us start with the definition of performance appraisal. And performance appraisal is a regular review of an employee or employee's job performance and overall contribution to the company. Usually, we can also call it annual review or employee review, just to review the performance of an employee. It can either be quarterly or yearly. Then performance appraisal, like we said, it is part of the performance management. Part of the performance management. And one which deals with one, identifying, secondly, measuring. Measuring what? Quality, quantity of work, also the cost effectiveness of an employee, application of knowledge, application of knowledge. We can also talk of quality of work, quality of work. We can also talk of cooperativeness under measuring cooperativeness. How cooperative is an employee? Is the employee follow policies, regulation? Is he a team player? And what have you? So those are just the examples. So it also deals with developing human performance in an organization. Human performance, because at the end of the day is about performance, that this employee at the end of the year, the employer want to see that there is good performance, that he has contributed towards the organization achievement. Then what are the objectives of performance management? What are the objectives of performance management? One is to determine compensation packages. How much will this employee be paid? It will also assist the organization to come up with a wage structure of salaries. Wage structure of salaries. Wage structure is whereby the organization is able to come up with different structures or cadres of employees with different salary grades and what have you. Secondly, to identify the strengths and weaknesses of employees to place the right men on the right jobs. So, strengths and weaknesses. What are the strengths and what are the weaknesses? Weaknesses so that the organization can be able to identify the weaknesses and be able, maybe for example, to improvement, so that it can be able to improve. Later we are going to see feedback, how performance appraisal is able to give feedback. Thirdly, to maintain and assess the potential in a person for further growth and development. For further growth and development. Fourthly, to provide a feedback to employees regarding their performance. Don't forget what we said when we are looking at performance management. We said that feedback is very, very important. Feedback is important in the sense that it is able to give employees areas of improvement, be it positive or negative feedback. And also don't forget what we said, that how can we communicate negative feedback? There are various ways of communicating negative feedback, but in a positive way. And lastly, to identify gaps, hence recommend for training. Gaps can be what? Gaps, well, like what we said here, can be weaknesses. Weaknesses whereby the organization can recommend for further training, either to improve on skills or to improve on other areas that the organization feels that is important. Then let us look at the appraisal process. Appraisal process. And this is the process of appraisal whereby we start with establishing of performance standards. That is the first step. Establishing of performance standards, whereby we look at these standards are measured through performance, through job descriptions. What is a job description? Last time we looked at job description, and we say that job description, these are duties and responsibilities of employees. Duties and responsibilities. So these are through job descriptions, employee handbook, and standards of operation, whereby the standards are set. The standards are set. After we have established the standards, once the standards have been set, the second step is communicating the standards and expectations. Communicating the standards and the expectations. And under communicating of standards and expectations, here there is need for respective employees. They come up to know what is expected of them. What is expected of them? That they need to do A, B, C, D at the end of the day. After we've communicated the standards and expectation, the third process is measuring the actual performance. Measuring the actual performance. And this is measured on the basis of the information. Measured on the basis of information. Measured on the basis of information. Sorry. Measured on the basis of information that was communicated here at the second step. So we are measuring the actual performance. And how do we measure this actual performance? This is through the available resources that are there. Available sources such as observation, what we've observed, the supervisor has observed, through statistical reports, through oral reports or written reports out of the work that has been done. Then after we've measured the actual performance, the fourth step is comparing with the standards. Don't forget what we said, that first we're establishing the standards. So what are we comparing with? We are comparing with the standards that were set. The standards that were set. And in this stage, the actual performance is compared with the predetermined standards. Predetermined standards, such as they try to compare with what was set. Then, after we've done with the comparison, the fifth step is discussing the results. Providing feedback, the feedback we are talking about. It is important that an employee, employer, or the employee and the supervisor, they sit down and discuss and provide feedback. Feedback is very, very important. Then lastly is decision making and taking corrective actions. Taking corrective actions. Taking corrective action, that is in order to improve, they discuss the areas of improvement that have been observed. Then let us look at performance appraisal tools and techniques. And under performance appraisal tools and techniques, we have two. We have the modern methods and we have the traditional methods. Modern, these are the modern modern methods. We have, for example, we have the MBO, management by objective. We have the 360-degree feedback, assessment center method, behavioral anchored rating scale, and psychological appraisals. And lastly, the human resource cost accounting method. So let us start with the first one, MBO. MBO means management by objective, whereby objectives are MBO as the appraisal, where managers and employees come together, identify, plan, and set objectives, and they agree on these objectives, Then we have the 360 degrees feedback, or we can also call it 360 evaluation method. 360 evaluation method, this is whereby evaluation is done whereby we have the seniors evaluating the employee, where we have the peers evaluating the employee. Peers is whereby we are talking about employees who are the same level. And then we also have the juniors evaluating the employee. Apart from the juniors, we can also talk of the customers, suppliers, who can also give feedback about the employee, either in terms of service, how do they deliver services to the customers, and what have you. Then, thirdly, we have the assessment center method. Assessment center method. Under assessment center method, employees are asked to take part. Employees are asked to take part in situation exercises, for example, in work groups, in simulations, and role-playing, that to ensure success. Then we have behavioral anchored rating scale. In short, they are called the bars. This is whereby bars provide clear standards. They provide clear standards. They also lead to improved feedback. And also, another advantage of this is whereby we have accurate performance analysis, and there is also consistent evaluation. The third modern method, the fifth modern method is called the psychological appraisals. Psychological appraisals is whereby this method focuses on analyzing employee future performance rather than past work. So it's more of futuristic, is more of a proactive approach. Then lastly, we have the human resource cost accounting method. This is whereby the human resource cost accounting method, this is where when employees is evaluated based on cost accounting methods. For example, factors like service value, quality, overhead costs, and what have you. Those are just examples. Overhead costs, etc. Then we come to the second part of the evaluation tools, whereby we talk of traditional methods. We have several, but these are the most common ones. So we start with the ranking method. Ranking method, this is the most common and the most easiest used in many organizations. It is the oldest, but the simplest. Oldest and the simplest. Formal systematic method of performance appraisal in which employees are compared with all others for the purpose of placing order of worth. Order of worth. Then, secondly, we have the paired comparison. Paired comparison, in this method, each employee is compared. Each employee is compared with other employees on one-to-one basis, usually on the trait only, one trait only. Then thirdly, we have the grading method. The grading method is whereby certain categories of worth are established in advance and carefully defined. There can be 3 categories, for example, of employees. For example, outstanding, satisfactory, and unsatisfactory. Then we have the confidential reports. Confidential reports, this is one of the traditional way of appraising employees, mainly used in government departments. And here evaluation is made by the immediate boss, or supervisor, for giving, for example, when you want to be promoted for promotion purposes and transfer. Promotion purposes and transfer. And lastly, we have the ESA method. Under the ESA method, this is also the simplest among various appraisal methods. In this method, the rater writes a narrative, description of the employee's strengths, weaknesses, and past performance, and also about the potential of the employee, and suggest areas of improvement. So, just a recap, we've looked at appraisal, objectives of appraisal. We've looked at the process and tools and techniques. So what are the reasons? Why do we have to do these appraisals? One, for compensation, pay for performance. For compensation, so that you can be able to measure how much you are going to pay. How much are you going to compensate? How much are you going to pay for good performance? Secondly, for job performance improvements, wherever employees know that they are going to be evaluated, they want to achieve their objectives. They want to come up with better performance. They want to improve on their performance. And we usually say that when you're talking about Kaizen, last time we did mention about Kaizen, continuous improvement. Thirdly, feedback to subordinates. Feedback is very, very important. Feedback can be a motivator by itself. When feedback is communicated in a positive way, be it a negative feedback, what we said last time, feedback, whether positive or negative, it must be well communicated so that employees can know how they are performing and how they can improve on their performance. Fourthly, decision making. It also assists the management of an organization on how to come up with good decisions concerning an employee. For example, on issues of promotion, issues of dismissal, due to dismissal, due to poor performance, or what have you. Fifth, goal setting. Through appraisals, we are able to come up with goals. We set goals that are achievable. Goals, we can also say about objectives that are achievable, that they are realistic, that are smart. We talk of smart objective. Smart objectives, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. I've also mentioned something on promotion decisions, that through appraisals, when we review the performance, we're able to know if an employee indeed is qualified to be promoted to the next level out of the good performance. Another important reason of appraisals is to identify the training needs. That is what we say, that through appraisals we're able to identify gaps. We identify gaps. And these gaps, we must know how to fill them. And some of these gaps might be filled through training. For example, if there is a lot of wastage of materials or wastage of end products, then that means maybe the wastage, for example, that is not brought about by either the machines, maybe it is human. So there is need for improving, there is need for training the employees on areas of quality. Then lastly, another reason is human resource planning. And last time we defined human resource planning. This is whereby it assists the organization to plan in advance, to plan for future needs of the organization. Future needs of the organization. What are these needs in terms of what? Employee qualifications. What are the future qualifications that will be needed? Another thing under human resource planning, the number of people that will be required in an organization. The number of people that will be required in an organization at the right time, at the right place. So through appraisals, we are able to identify future needs of the organization through human resource planning. So what are the challenges in performance appraisal? Performance appraisal comes with a lot of challenges. More so, one, when the appraiser is inexperienced, where the appraiser does not have experience, whereby, for example, they don't know what is expected of them, then it will be a challenge to the organization. Another challenge is employee resistance. Resistance can come in so many forms. They might feel that maybe the performance appraisal it is not objective. It is not objective. They might resist. They might also feel that they did not participate in forming of the objectives or setting of the objectives. Then employees may resist due to lack of involvement. They were not involved in setting the set objectives. So it may lead to resistance of employees. Another point is whereby we talk about biasness or stereotyping. Biasness is whereby the supervisor might be biased to one of the employees and not being objective, and he becomes, or she becomes subjective. She becomes subjective. Another challenge is whereby we talk of, the moment we talk of performance appraisal, they have good performance. We usually say that they must be linked to rewards. So the moment good performance is not linked to rewards, then it becomes a demotivator. And that is why we are saying that if not linked to rewards, if it is not linked to rewards, it might demotivate the employees. Because after all, they'll ask, after performing, so what next? What next? So organizations must ensure that appraisal linked to what? Rewards. And lastly, if not focused on development. Development in what sense? That the same time the organization wants performance, it also ensure that it develops its employees through training and development. Through training and development. So now we are coming to the end of our class today, and we have an assignment here for you. We have an assignment here for you. As you all know that what is affecting the whole world, we have the issue of COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So how is the COVID-19 epidemic affected the individual performance of employees in an organization? And lastly, is performance appraisal necessary? Kindly explain. So I want to thank you. Thank you very much for listening to me. Stay safe. Wash your hands regularly. Thank you.
These televised lectures supplement our robust online learning going on our MKU online platform. You can view more on our televised lectures via our online platform. We are in a digital era, and Mount Kenya University knows this. The following are the steps to follow so as to complete your online application. Download the application form from the website www.mku.ac.ke. Attach copies of your academic certificates and ID. Pay the application fees via M-Pesa pay bill number 270988. Your ID is the account number. 2,000 shillings is the charge for a postgraduate. You can also deposit in the bank accounts provided on the website. Then email all the above to apply@mku.ac.ke.